The Home Pros Radio Show.
I'm Tommy Donovan, and this is the Home Pros Radio Show podcast. The winter months tend to be recognized as the firefighting season. As temperatures become cold, homeowners want to stay warm. We tend to rely on alternative heating sources for additional comfort when our main heating system is not enough. And unfortunately, a homeowner's misuse of these devices can result in fatal circumstances. According to the National Fire Protection Association, space heaters alone are involved in 79% of fatal home heating fires. What do we need to know in order to ensure the safety of our homes and our loved ones? Lieutenant Will Broscious with the Greenville City Fire Department joined Shane and I on the show to provide some answers.
I want to bring in Lieutenant Will Broscious with the Greenville City Fire Department. He is the Community Risk Reduction and Education Coordinator. Good morning.
Good morning.
We chose this topic because we wanted it to be timely, and I'm sure that this is probably a busy time of year for you guys.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. The colder it gets, the busier we get, unfortunately. Yeah. The individuals are going to stay warm. So that's when we start seeing it. Issues with the space heaters, fireplaces, and really any alternative heating source.
Mm-hmm. That leads us to our RIC home inspections.
What are you looking at? I know what I'm doing.
Did you see that? Our photo from the field, which is on Facebook. Nice photo of a power strip that is melted. This occurred because of a space heater that was plugged into a power strip. That's something that, folks, we want to remember is a no-no. I mean, we plug so many other things into a power strip. Why not a space heater?
The space heater just basically draws so much electricity, especially depending on what type you have. Mm-hmm. So manufacturers' recommendations to plug it directly into a wall outlet. And this picture really is a great demonstration of exactly what can and typically will happen if you plug it into a surge protector.
Is this one of the things that you see quite frequently?
Yeah. Well, not as frequently as in the past. We like to feel like we've done a great job with education, so we've cut down on a lot. But even in commercial settings, I've got some pictures where I've walked in and did a commercial inspection, and we've seen individuals with these type of surge protectors where they're not as drastic as this one, but they're on their way. Mm-hmm. So we definitely want to make sure individuals understand how.
Now, what about, common logic would be sometimes for folks to think, well, it's a surge protector. Tell us why that's not enough to keep something like this from occurring.
Yeah, so everything has its limitations. And basically when you plug too many items or something that's overpowering a surge protector, this is exactly what's going to happen. So we just follow manufacturers' recommendations, follow the experts' warnings, plug a space heater directly into a wall outlet, and really bypass the surge protector. Keep it safe.
Just like our buddy Kenny from Scouts Pest Control will tell us, the label is the law. Read the label, all directions. In this case, if you get a space heater, it'll say on the box or in the direct instructions, it'll say, don't do that. Don't
do that.
Use the cable that is on this unit plugged directly into an outlet. So that's good to know because I'm sure that you probably have seen all kinds of different scenarios.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, everyone wants to stay warm. When the temperatures drop, you're going to do what you need to do to stay warm. But we just want you to do so in a safe way. One thing with space heaters, too, we always recommend you buy them brand new. A lot of times individuals will find them at a garage sale or at a secondhand store. And you don't know what that unit's been through. You don't know if it's meeting modern safety recommendations, too. So if you're going to buy a space heater, I have them. Just make sure you buy one from a store. It's brand new out of the box, and it meets modern day safety warnings.
I have one I use in my home studio. The one thing that I like about it is if it gets too hot, it has like a warning signal that'll go off.
Yeah, so we look for that and a tip over device. So if you tip the space heater over, it should do one of two things. One, it should go into some type of alert to let you know, hey, put me back up, or it should turn itself off. Mm-hmm. And so typically we obviously like the ones that turn themselves off. So if a kid or an animal or someone comes into contact with it and turns it onto its side, it's going to cut off the tip over feature that is on all the new equipment.
Mm-hmm. One interesting story that I did hear a while back is from I guess I can mention the other fire departments because it's not like you are in competitors.
Talk about it on
maybe
the
on the softball fields. This one fireman was telling me a story about. He was with Parker, and he was telling me a story. He's got some good stories. He was telling me a story about how just one family, they burned their house down because they were heating their house with a box fan they had placed inside an open oven that was on.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that, folks? It's like
they turn the oven on high or broil or whatever, and then they put a box fan in.
You got to have a blower for a heat source.
For circulation.
Box fan makes sense to shake. That's extremely dangerous. Obviously, we don't want folks heating their homes with their stove, but like I said, it comes down to people wanting to stay warm. So if we don't arm these individuals with the proper amount of education, they're going to do what they think is best. We've got some great folks over at Parker that we work well with. And so what we try to do with all the fire departments around is make sure that we collaborate and share the same educational message and really keep everyone in the greater area as safe as possible.
That's good. And that's what we're about here on the show. We want to make sure folks are educated. They're aware of the things that they need to know in order to keep their homes safe. One of the things that spurred on this idea to have this topic on our show was a recent fire extinguisher recall that I think is important to notice or mention. Kidde has recalled more than 40 million fire extinguishers used in homes and vehicles and boats because they can become clogged or fail to discharge during a fire. Tell us about that recall.
Yeah, so this fire extinguisher recall, obviously, like you said, it affected 40 million fire extinguishers. So it's a large amount of fire extinguishers. And one of the things it does, and I've got one in a vehicle, is the nozzle portion. It's a little plastic clip that basically screws onto the fire extinguisher. And what happens, that either becomes clogged or it can become loose. It doesn't take much to make it become loose. So you can imagine as you go to use the fire extinguisher and as the pressure begins to come out of the fire extinguisher, it blows the nozzle off. Mm-hmm. And now you're suddenly in a predicament where you don't have a nozzle on there. And it's just very, very dangerous.
Yeah, no way to actually apply the fire retardant, which is composed of what in a fire extinguisher?
Different chemicals. Yeah, and it depends on what type of fire extinguisher you have. There's some that are just basically water and compressed air that makes the water come out and project across the room, but it's just different chemicals inside of it. It's a dry chemical.
Oh, gotcha. So if you have any questions or concerns about whether or not the fire extinguisher you have at home, it might be one of these fire extinguishers that are a part of this recall. We placed this article. The post is actually on our Facebook page. You can scroll down and find it right now, but we'll make sure that you can access it, folks, if you're listening out there and you want to know. Is there a specific recommendation that you guys would have as far as how many you should have in your home or where you should have them?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the first thing we want you to know, and our number one recommendation is to call 911 first. Just for this reason here, we have 40 million fire extinguishers out there that may malfunction. So you can imagine when you go to try to use one or grab it and maybe it's not there or you forgot where it is in the moment, you're delaying emergency response. So the number one thing, the very first thing you need to do is call 911. There's no fee. There's no penalty. If you get the fire out, call us back and turn us around. I promise you won't upset any firemen by turning us around, okay? So that's the number one thing. Make sure that you call 911 first. And then second, if you're going to use a fire extinguisher, make sure you understand how to use it. I equate it to a weapon in your home, right? So if you have a weapon in your home, you need to be educated on it. You need to know how to use it. Because if you try, what typically can happen? Somebody's going to get injured, right? Whether it's yourself or someone that you love. Same thing with a fire extinguisher. Make sure you understand how to use it and that you're comfortable using it and that you got emergency responders on the way before you even attempt to use it.
Very good information. Now, you also offer, the City of Greenville Fire Department does offer fire extinguisher classes.
That is correct. Yeah. We typically do it in a commercial setting, but we do come out to homeowners educational groups and associations.
All right. So we've been going through all of our fire safety information with Lieutenant Will Broscious of the Greenville City Fire Department. And we've mentioned the fire extinguisher classes, and we've talked about not plugging your space heater into a power strip. Another thing that's important to mention is there is a difference between a surge protector and a power strip, right, Shane?
There is. The surge protector, there are power strips that don't have surge protectors.
They're just power strips.
Yeah, it's like a drop cord with a lot of places to plug it in, pretty much. That protector there obviously had more amperage going through it than what it was rated for. A lot of time, and you had mentioned earlier about the don't buy a used space heater. And I'm sure a lot of the times the reason people are selling them is because they're not working so great and all. And if the actual two prongs on the plug start bending in or bending out, they don't make good connection in the receptacles, which eventually makes the receptacle faulty because it's arcing, it's getting hot, it's cooling down, it's getting hot, it's cooling down. And then the jaws in the receptacle end up getting looser. So now you have a constant arcing in there, which arcs cause heat cause fire. So, I mean, you know, so if you ever have one that's not working, it works sometimes, doesn't work sometimes, get rid of it and go ahead and change the receptacle. Probably. I mean, if you plug anything else in there and it works sometimes, doesn't work sometimes.
And for those of you who are not familiar, arc is an electrical term for electricity moving through air, like lightning.
Like lightning.
More simplified, a spark. So,
and it makes a noise too.
Yeah, it goes. Yeah, very good. Speaking of noises, thanks for the segue there.
Please listen here.
All right, here's our mystery sound for this week. Anybody know what this is? Scout is letting us know. That's right.
Get them, Scout.
Yeah. We have Donnie from Gaffney. Tell us what it's all about.
It's my smoke detector reminding me to change the battery.
Very good. Nice. So, now you say, Donnie, you say it's your smoke detector. Is it doing it right now?
No, I'm just
using
that analogy.
So, Will, tell us about that. We're going to change your batteries. Should we be checking them regularly to make sure?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah. In your smoke alarms, we recommend you check the batteries and change them periodically. So usually we tell people when you change the time on your clocks at daylight savings time, go ahead and change the batteries. But now one thing I want to point out, they make a new device, I actually have it in my home, is with a long life battery. It's a tamper resistant smoke alarm, and the battery is a 10-year lithium ion battery. Yeah. So you go ahead and buy one of those, and it saves you a lot of money in the long run and not having to buy batteries all the time.
Excellent.
And that sound, you don't have to deal with that.
That's right.
Does it chip at the end, or chirp at the end of the 10 year? I mean, I'm just wondering, do you know?
I don't know. I just got them. We'll be back in 9 years. We're gonna find out.
Let's go ahead and schedule that.
And so Donnie, you definitely check yours regularly, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. That's excellent. As a home inspector, I'll get into homes, and it's annoying when I got to be there for 3 hours listening to this. So, well, thanks for the call, Donnie. And it looks like we have from Joyce, from Malden. Joyce, good morning.
My guess was the smoke detector, too.
Excellent.
I've recently had that happen.
All right. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So what did you do? Did you just go,
Well, I am 77 years old, and I called the fire department, and I was blessed by somebody coming out, lifting up the cover, and taking out the old battery, and fortunately, I had a replacement right on hand, and they put it in for me. And they were very, very nice. And also, I had them check my fire extinguisher, which was about 12 years old, and they said it was absolutely not good anymore. So I was in the store yesterday, and I replaced it at Walmart.
Oh, nice. Very good.
Yeah, so that was a double learning experience, and they said never, ever...
You're impressing our audience, our live studio audience.
Never ever do without a fire extinguisher in your house.
Good stuff. Well, thank you very much for that story.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And Joyce,
and I'm going to ask my homeowners association to call that number and see if when we have our annual meeting, we can have a demonstration for all us seniors.
Oh, excellent idea. You guys do that, right?
Absolutely. And so one thing Joyce just talked about, we want to let all the listeners know, if you have difficulty reaching your smoke alarms or you don't feel comfortable, call your local fire department. Most fire departments now offer the service where they'll actually come out and change your smoke alarm free of charge. And in most cases, they'll provide the batteries and the smoke alarm for you. So make sure you take advantage of that.
I didn't know that, but I had an extra battery, and I was thankful I had it because right then and there they were able to replace it.
This, of course, Will, you're with the Greenville City. And now what happens is throughout the upstate we have districts. So a lot of these programs, would you say, are also available in individual districts?
Yeah, absolutely. 9 times out of 10, your district does it. Now, if you live in an area where it's serviced primarily by volunteer firefighters, it does get a little harder. But at the end of the day, still call them and ask them, and you'd be surprised at the different level of services that most fire departments provide. Yeah.
I mean, that's what you do. That's what you're there for.
We're here to serve and protect. Yes, sir.
Excellent. We've got Donnie and Joyce on the line. We want to see how much of an expert they can be of the Home Pros Trivia Challenge. Hang on, both of you. Of course, as we build homes, there's a reason why we do things. Contractors will go, we can't do that because that's not the way it's supposed to be. Well, the reason why is because we have building codes, and certain codes are geared toward making sure that our homes are safe from the potential for fire. So, Joyce, you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You ready for our first question this morning? What we're going to do is
Sure.
we're going to see if we can alternate between the two of you and see who can get the most questions right. First question, Joyce, true or false? The minimum size from the firebox out to the full extension of the fireplace hearth should be a minimum of 18 inches. Is that true or false?
Yes, true.
It is true. Very good. Excellent. All right, Joyce. Very nice.
Joyce.
All right. So let's go ahead and let's put Donnie on the air.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. All right, Donnie, here we go. It is required that a fire barrier be installed between your garage and all interior living space of your home. What constitutes a proper drywall fire barrier? Is it a half-inch drywall, 3/4-inch drywall, 5/8 drywall, or none of those?
5/8.
5/8 is correct.
Way to go, Donnie.
All right, Donnie. We're going to put Joyce on. Joyce, you there?
I am.
Awesome. It is this is a multiple choice. It is recommended that a gas water heater that is installed inside a garage be placed on a stand so that the burner compartment is elevated at least how high off the floor? 12 inches, 14 inches, 16 inches, or 18 inches?
I'd say probably at least 12.
At least 12, and the answer is... Oh, sorry, Joyce. 12 inches would be too close. We want it 18 inches between the burner compartment and the floor.
Wow, I thought 12 was good. That's a foot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wonder, here's the interesting thing, Joyce, is that going back to the fireplace hearth question, the number is the same. I noticed that. 18 inches.
Oh.
From combustible
how about that?
materials and those, 18 inches.
When in doubt, go 18.
Yeah. Ready, Donnie? I got one for you. According to modern safety standards, smoke detectors are required in which of the following rooms? Bedrooms, kitchens, garages, or none of the above?
Well, that one should be the kitchen.
The kitchen, and the answer is, that's right. Well, Donnie, what it is we're required. Kitchens aren't a bad idea, but what happens when we put a smoke detector in the kitchen?
Yeah, usually when I cook,
That's what I was going to say all the time. That's what I was thinking.
mine goes off all the time. So if you've got one in your kitchen, you want to make it sure it's about 10 feet away from the stove.
Here's where they are required. In every sleeping room, and then one in a common area on each floor if you have multiple floors in your home. So folks, make sure that you have your smoke detectors in those locations. It can be helpful to have them in kitchens and garages, but they can tend to go off all the time. We got a tie game right now. Joyce, ready? We got one for you? All right. So this modern electrical safety feature is designed to protect your home from potential fires. Is it GFCI protection or AFCI protection?
I guess I'll say the GFCI.
And it's actually that ground fault circuit interrupter protection is there to protect you from shock hazards. Arc fault, the AFCI, Joyce, it might have been helpful if I said the words, but arc fault circuit interruption protection is for fire safety, protect you from arcs, which we talked about earlier. What arcs
I've
could
never
do.
heard of it.
Yeah.
Well, that way. Okay.
Yeah, it's a newer feature. So, all right, let's go to Donnie real quick for the win. Ready? Let's say true or false, Donnie. When bat insulation is installed, that's the insulation that rolls out. When bat insulation is installed in your home, the vapor barrier, the backing on it, should be installed so it is facing the interior living space of your home. True or false?
True.
And that answer is correct. Very good, Donnie. That is the correct answer. So, Donnie, you're a winner. How about it for their help this morning, audience?
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
exactly. Joyce and Donnie. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks for participating.
Thank
Helpful information, right?
I think so,
Stuff?
yeah.
Yeah.
Some additional information worth noting: if you use electric blankets or heating pads to stay warm, first, do not use these items if they are over 10 years old. Next, never fold electric blankets and never place anything on top of them when in use, and never use these items to keep warm when you're sleeping. As we mentioned earlier, the label is the law, so always consult the manufacturer's instructions to ensure proper use. We hope that this episode of the Home Pros Radio Show podcast will help you stay safe this winter. Please feel free to share this show with any friends and family who may also find it helpful. We also invite you to join our family by subscribing to our podcast and following us on Facebook. It's simple, just a few clicks and you're in. Until next time, I'm Tommy Donovan with RIC Home Inspections and the Home Pros Radio Show.
Thanks for listening to the Home Pros Radio Show. Meet more Home Pros at homeprosradio.com. There, you can also catch full episodes of our show, along with additional information to ensure that your home is in perfect shape. It's the Home Pros Radio Show, brought to you by Prime Lending, home loans made simple. The Home Pros Radio Show, online at homeprosradio.com or on the radio at 94.5 WGTK, The Answer.